Become a patron at www.patreon.com/Golden Era Bookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the Golden Era of bodybuilding. Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. Today I'd like to bring you the ultimate beginner's guide to Silver Era bodybuilding. And the reason is because I often focus on techniques and exercises for the intermediate and advanced trainee, yet seldom give information for the absolute novice and beginner. The motivation for this video comes from an article written by Silver Era legend Floyd Page, shown here in this classic double biceps pose, slightly tilted, looking awesome. He was also the winner of the Professional Mr. America in 1948. In this video, I will be discussing the basic principles of Silver Era bodybuilding, the equipment they would recommend, and as well as a routine, the frequency, as well as lifestyle habits and diet that you can get started with on your bodybuilding journey. So let's get straight into it. Now, the basic principles of Silver Era bodybuilding have to come down to one major factor, and that is progressive resistance training. I've stressed this many times in a video, but I really need to stress it, especially for the novice and beginner. The ability to slowly adapt to increasing demands will obviously going to lead to greater muscle mass and a better physique. Now, although that is the most basic principle, it is one that should be continued throughout your bodybuilding career. Having stated that and the importance of that, we can continue with other basics. In the Silver Era, understand that we're not many machines, and so the equipment was rather limited to barbells and dumbbells. And yes, cables and pulleys did exist at the time and were being developed into more complex machines later on. However, the importance and the stress in using barbells and dumbbells has to do with really understanding how your body moves, with really learning about how your own body moves. Not just in doing the exercise, but in really feeling the motion and getting the groove of the exercise. And in doing so, by using free weights, you really start conditioning your whole body, and it actually not just builds muscle. Bodybuilding is about building the entire body. So we're talking about building tendon and ligament strength as well. Understand that with machines, cables and pulleys which guide the movement of the exercise, barbells and dumbbells do not do this. This is a free exercise, and therefore you have to learn to do it. And it is very important to learn the motion correctly first, especially as a novice and beginner. And this is why in Silver Era bodybuilding, it is highly important to use free weights. Once, of course, you've developed the movement pattern for each exercise, and this will correspond to also increases in ligament, tendon strength, and overall structural strength. The muscle can now begin to grow on a stronger structure that you have laid down. So in using barbells and dumbbells and free weights, what you actually end up doing is laying down the correct foundation in your structure and in your functional movement, a very important principle in Silver Era bodybuilding. Now, the next important step for a novice trainer wishing to follow Silver Era bodybuilding methods is to understand the routine and the frequency. Let's get to frequency first. The frequency should be 3 times a week, and the reason is that this will allow the trainee to recover in between days. So it's basically training, for example, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, with at least one rest day in between. And this is very important. It develops a habit, and it starts conditioning the body and allows enough recuperation. Mostly it was recommended in the Silver Era to train in the afternoons or evenings, because at that stage you are definitely woken up, you're not sleepy, you've had a couple of meals in you, and you're not tired. And usually it is a few hours after eating. You would never, for example, train right after eating your lunch or your breakfast. It just doesn't make sense. You need to be alert and ready to go. And ideally it should be your workout should be performed at the same time every day, and in doing so it also helps in establishing a very healthy and positive habit. Now, the classic beginner's routine will be given in the next slide, but before doing so, it's very important to understand that in the Silver Era, what was highly recommended was full body routines with no more than 12 to 15 exercises. Now, this is one of the most unusual parts for most people to understand, that for an absolute novice or a beginner who has never had the luxury, for example, especially of participating in any sports and has a complete lack of coordination, they should only be performing one set only. And the reason is that the novice really needs to learn the movement first. And so it is not about ego lifting and choosing the heaviest weight. It is about simply learning each movement correctly. And once you are able to perform the movement, later on you can start increasing the poundage, and you begin to use the principle of progressive resistance training. However, for this particular full body routine, it is recommended, as I said earlier, just one set per exercise of the 12 to 15 exercises that will be listed, with the upper body exercises only performing 10 reps for each, and for the lower body 15 to 20 reps, again only for one set. And this exercise shouldn't take more than 1 to 1.5 hours. Now, this particular routine should be performed for approximately 3 months, progressively increasing the poundage as you go. It doesn't mean that you need to increase the poundage every single time or for every single exercise. You will know once you firstly learn the movement, which may take you a week, 2 weeks, 1 month. Eventually, once you learn the movement, depending on your abilities, you can slowly start increasing the poundage in the exercises where you feel comfortable. After the 3-month period, one can then start incorporating the set system, where you begin to increase the number of sets, starting with, for example, 2 sets, and then eventually moving up to 3 or 4 sets. Again, for a silver era beginner's routine, you would only use barbells and dumbbells, and leaving cables, pulleys, and machines to a much later and advanced state. And again, I stress the importance of teaching the exercise groove. Remember that machines will not teach you this. They are guiding the movement. Only through the use of free weights can you truly learn to use your own body, and therefore develop the important strength in your joints, that is your tendons and ligaments. This is, again, cannot be gained using machines at all, because they will move they will help you in guiding the movement, and you don't want this at the very beginning, because it will limit your structural strength and therefore the ability to put muscle bulk on your physique, which is completely contrary to what you want as a beginner. Now, here is the classic beginner's routine, at least as given by the Wader system. And before going through this list, I just want to emphasize one thing about the full body routine as practiced in the silver era. Understand that it doesn't just build the musculature in the body. It will condition both your external system, which is basically your musculature, and as well as your internal organs. This is very important to understand, because a lot of people don't understand that bodybuilding is not just about increasing your muscular bulk. You're going to be working your skeletal system, and therefore improve the density of your bones. You're going to improve the strength of your joints, as I've mentioned already, the ligaments and tendons, but also going further inside into your viscera, you're going to improve your cardiovascular system. We're talking your heart and your lungs. You're going to obviously improve the circulation around your body, and condition the internal organs in your belly, especially when you're doing a lot of bending exercises such as abdominal exercises. And another very important thing is, by looking at the structure of this routine, we go from upper body, that is delts and arms, down to the chest and the back, as well as then moving down towards the legs, and then finally the abdominals. So in this particular routine, if followed, what it does is actually allow the circulation to move up into your body, and then down, and then back to the middle again. The blood will move literally from your upper body down to your lower body, back to the middle. And in this way, you really stimulate the blood in all of these sections of the body. This is a very important principle that was used in the Silver era, and it is actually one that was highly recommended as well by Steve Reeves if you read his book Building a Classic Physique. Anyway, here is the list of exercises. As mentioned earlier, you would start with your upper body, preferably the shoulders, performing a barbell military press, followed by a dumbbell lateral raiser such as delts. You could then move on to your chest, performing dumbbell flies, then the barbell pullover, which also works the chest, the lats, and the arms, mainly the triceps, followed by the barbell curl, and finishing off with bent over barbell rowing and shrugs for the trapezius. So now you've thoroughly worked the upper body. Then you would, because you are now moving towards the center of the body, that is a trapezius, now you start the barbell deadlift, which also works the midsection and the torso, as well as the whole body, of course, and also the legs. It starts stimulating the legs. Then you move into the back squat, the barbell back squat, which thoroughly works out the lower body, the hips, the knees, even the calves get a workout from squatting, believe it or not. And then you finish off the exercises by bringing the blood back to the midsection by performing abdominal exercises such as sit-ups and leg raises. This is a very classic beginner's routine, and I hope that you can incorporate it if you are an absolute novice. Now that I've stressed the almost systematic method used in the Silver era of conditioning the body using this systematic approach of moving from your upper body to your lower body back to the midsection, really moving the blood and your energy through your body, I hope you can understand the importance that Silver era bodybuilders had on health. They used to say health first, strength second, appearance last. That was a very important motto in the Silver era, and it should obviously improve your lifestyle, and there are certain habits that can further improve your bodybuilding endeavors as a novice and beginner. That is, of course, to take a warm shower to relax after your workout, and if you like, a quick fast cold few seconds at the end to help improve your circulation. It is recommended as well by the Silver era bodybuilders to massage and stretch at least twice a day for about 5 to 10 minutes, preferably after your workout and maybe before you go to bed or upon waking up in the morning. And speaking of sleeping, it is recommended to have at least 8 hours of sleep. This is ideal. Sleeping more or less may make you sluggish, but 8 hours seems to be just about right. Now, last but not least, what was the Silver era diet? I keep getting asked this again and again and again. Understand that there were no supplements back then at all, yet these men were able to really have incredible physiques just by following this basic classic routine and live a healthy life by eating a very high quality nutrient dense diet such as listed here. Quality welfare meats. Understand that back then we're talking about anything from dairy to meats that you would acquire in a shop would not be bulk produced. So nowadays we would have to have quality welfare meats, fish, poultry, eggs and milk if you can afford it. Try organic, if not at least free range or a better welfare than factory farmed. Obviously for the sake of your own health and for the sake of the health of the animals. Fresh organic fruit and vegetables if you can afford it. If not, at least fresh fruit and vegetables. Carbohydrates, this is a big one. Again, back in the Silver era and Bronze era even, there wasn't, the Industrial Revolution had kicked off, but it wasn't as pronounced as it is nowadays, and so most of these bodybuilders ate whole grains, potatoes, basically unprocessed carbohydrates, and it is in the processing of the carbohydrate that you really get a cheap form that converts into fat in the body. So a lot of these bodybuilders back then didn't have to really worry about fat accumulation in the body because they ate whole nutritious food as close to nature as possible, and that really is the summary of the Silver era diet. Avoiding processed food, eating as close to nature as possible. It's as simple as that. Avoiding, of course, sugar, things like candy, cake and cookies, which are available nowadays, and things like fast food. These things did not exist back then. They basically ate straight from the kitchen. And fresh too. Understand a lot of people back then didn't even have a fridge, and so they couldn't freeze their foods. They couldn't buy frozen and pre-prepared food. It all had to be fresh from the market. Again, there wasn't the mass production and storage methods of nowadays. Everything was fresh. Everything was freshly cooked and prepared. So as close to nature as possible is the key. Healthier snacks, of course, are acceptable and are listed as basically baked goods made from your grandmother or your mother. You can always have a snack like that. They are homemade and should be full of nutrition as well. Now, as a final recommendation, I like to finish off by stating that it is your body and your journey. It is your bodybuilding journey. You are building your own body as a novice and as a beginner. That's what bodybuilding is. You are building your own body, not someone else's. And so you need to understand that you are an individual and that you have a specific frame and specific metabolism and specific genetics to you. And so you cannot compare yourself to other individuals. There is no point. And having stated that, if you judge your own physique honestly, you can ask yourself, what direction do I want to head at? And what do I need to do to get there? For example, do you have a small frame and you wish to get massive? Then you could, for example, try the 20 rep squat program to gain weight. Or do you think that your legs are large but your upper body is small, your shoulder frame is small, for example, and you'd like to increase your upper body? For example, you can try ribcage expansion and try and balance out your physique. It really is all about understanding where you want to go. Are you not necessarily interested in bodybuilding but now wish to take on weightlifting? Well, I think the York methods, which are much more catered to weightlifting, and I may cover in a future video, are also interesting. You may wish to pursue Olympic weightlifting or go into strongman work, which would require strengthening ligaments and tendons using a shorter range of motion. There is a variety also of principles if you wish to advance your bodybuilding journey. That is, if you wish to really develop an aesthetically pleasing physique, you can start increasing the sets, the number of exercises, the variety of equipment. We're talking cables, pulleys, and machines now. It really depends on where you wish to go. If you wish to be an acrobat or a gymnast, you can start doing hand balancing acts and gymnastics. Again, it all depends on where you wish to go. It is your body and your journey, and I'd like to leave it at that. This has been, I think, the ultimate beginner's guide to silver era bodybuilding, and I hope you have enjoyed it. A great article, again, by Floyd Page, with some of my own input. Hope you've enjoyed watching the video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't to the Golden Era Bookworm. Leave me your comments, and thank you again for watching. You can support my work via PayPal, through donations, or by joining Patreon and becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/Golden Era Bookworm. I've got also a really nice booklet I just uploaded recently from Reg Park, Strength and Bulk Training for Weightlifters and Bodybuilders. It's a really great book with several routines that allow you to cycle between strength and muscular bulk for increasing your body weight and your muscular bulk over time naturally. So I hope you can enjoy that. That's available, as well as with many other bronze and silver era courses, at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Anyway, that's it for me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm. Bye for now. Purchase bronze, silver, and golden era books and courses at www.goldenerabookworm.com.
Hi everybody, I just want to recommend this phenomenal book, Vince's Secret Locker, volume number 2 by Carl Coyne. I've been looking at this for about 4 weeks and I can't put it down. If you get a chance, check it out. He also has a part 1 that I highly recommend also. Vince was the trainer to the stars and had an amazing, interesting gym that today there's still not equipment like it around. It was all made out of wood. He'll be on our radio show coming up probably in the next couple weeks or so. Have a great day, and again, highly recommend this book.